The new Six Flags will operate a total of 26 amusement parks across the United States. Which parks will be the winners and which parks will be the losers with this brand new merger? Today, I'm going to try and predict how each of these parks will be treated over the next couple of years compared to how they were treated prior to the merger. Some of the parks in the new Six Flags chain may see love they've never seen before, which could lead to them getting some of the craziest investments and new roller coasters we've ever seen. However, other parks may see a decrease in investment and some parks may even get sold off or totally demolished. The fate of the new Six Flags chain is not yet known, but it's true to be an interesting ride. The new Six Flags has a total of 26 amusement parks across the United States. 11 of these parks are operated by Cedar Fair, while the other 15 were operated by the former Six Flags. When Six Flags and Cedar Fair announced the new merger a couple of weeks ago, I was just as shocked as everyone else. I'm not really going to go into the details of the merger, how it happened, or why, as there are a ton of videos on this already by practically every single coaster channel. Today, I'd rather take a more fun approach, speculating on which of the 26 parks could benefit the most and which will lose the most from this new merger. Some of these parks' futures might be rather obvious, but others will shock you. We may be looking at a very different landscape in the amusement park industry in terms of which parks end up on top and which end up on bottom or potentially even gone forever. For example, a park that might have been very important to one chain may now be a lot less important once there are significantly more parks to take care of. I have to admit that when I first started making this video, I did not expect it to be this difficult. This is by far the most challenging video I've ever produced on this channel, and I think you guys are gonna love every bit of it. Let's start off with Six Flags' Magic Mountain. I think this park will be a real winner from the new merger. Six Flags Magic Mountain is located in Southern California, which is a beautiful climate for an amusement park. The park's beautiful setting and collection of rides make it one of the best amusement parks in the country already. Magic Mountain's biggest issue is arguably their management problems in terms of staffing, ride operations, and park cleanliness. Cedar Fair usually never had any major issues in these areas, and with the new merger, it's very likely this park will start to feel more like the top-tier amusement park it really is. I also think we could potentially see Six Flags Magic Mountain get some higher budget, more reliable roller coasters instead of just trying to break records like they've previously been doing. Cedar Fair was always super safe when it came to investing in roller coasters, and that's one of the reasons why they work so heavily with B&M. Cedar Fair originally planned to build a giant Giga coaster at Knott's Berry Farm, located just down the road from Six Flags Magic Mountain. I think there's a big chance we can see this Giga coaster be shifted over to Six Flags Magic Mountain now that the two parks are owned by the same company. If, however, they decide they want to give Knott's Berry Farm the Giga or a Hyper, then maybe we could see something like a Mack Extreme Spinner come to Magic Mountain. Such a coaster would never have been possible with Six Flags, and Six Flags didn't work with Mack and also didn't have the budget for such an expensive coaster. With the new Six Flags, however, an investment like this would be very possible for such a large park like Magic Mountain. So overall, I think Magic Mountain is a big winner. Cedar Point is an interesting one. Under Cedar Fair's management, this park was treated as the #1 park in the chain, but in no way is. Kings Island has been ranked by many as the better Ohio amusement park and even as the best amusement park in the world many times. Cedar Point attendance is also topped by both Canada's Wonderland and Knott's Berry Farm. Under the new merger, I don't think we'll see Cedar Point treated as the #1 park in the chain anymore, so I don't think we'll see that much different of an investment strategy, as I think Cedar Fair was already beginning to switch their investment strategy with this park. I don't think Cedar Point is a winner or a loser in this merger. I really don't see much changing when it comes to the future of this park. Kings Island, on the other hand, is one I think would benefit a lot from this new merger. Kings Island is a true top-tier park, and as I mentioned earlier, many rate this park as the best amusement park in the world. Kings Island operations are also top tier, and the park is kept in a beautiful condition. I think new technology from the Six Flags part of the merger could help this park become even better and even more efficient. Most importantly though, I could very well see this park get an increased budget for new investment in the form of themed areas, roller coasters, and rides. The new merger means the two companies have a bit higher of a budget than previously, as they will be able to cut many management roles. I think Kings Island will definitely be one of the winners in this merger, and I could see this park getting a much higher budget for future investments. I think Kings Island will see a brand new front entrance soon and many new coasters and highly themed areas more often than ever before. Keep in mind though that Kings Island has a very short operating calendar compared to many of the Six Flags parks in the chain, and it would make more sense for the chain to boost investment into one of their other top tier parks that needs it more than Kings Island, especially if that park has a longer operation season. I don't think this will matter as much in the long run, but this may cause Kings Island to be neglected a little bit short term, while some other parks have to play catch up. Six Flags New England may just be one of the biggest losers of this new merger. This park was pretty high on the list for Six Flags, yet it hasn't seen a new coaster since back in 2017. With the new merger, there are so many other parks in the running for new investment each year that I could easily see this park getting overlooked. And on top of that, the fact that this park is in an area of the country where there is very little competition. I do think New England will get some new coasters over the next couple of years, as they have a bunch of old ones they're going to have to replace. But under Six Flags, I think this park would have been a lot of a higher priority, where sadly now this park may fall to one of the lower tier parks in this new company. Another thing not to overlook is the fact that this park is all the way up north. Southern parks are definitely more appealing for a chain to invest in, as they can be open for a longer operating season, thereby having a higher return on investment. So for a park like New England that's all the way up north, doesn't see much competition, and already wasn't the biggest priority under Six Flags, I don't think the future will see much significant investment. I could even see this park being one of the parks that potentially gets sold off. I'd expect New England to get new investments every 5 to 7 years. Carowinds very likely will be another one of the parks that just stay the same. This park was a very high priority for Cedar Fair, and it'll definitely stay that way. The new company's headquarters will be right next to Carowinds, where the old Cedar Fair headquarters were, so this park is definitely going to continue to grow into one of the top parks in the chain. I think this park was already destined for greatness under Cedar Fair, and I don't think Six Flags will change that much about the park other than maybe increased technology, hopefully leading to better park operations. Maybe Six Flags can also help this park to a successful full year operating calendar. Dorney Park is in a really interesting situation. This park is definitely a loser with this new merger, as Six Flags Great Adventure is just down the road and is now part of the same chain. I don't think Dorney will see much investment in the amusement park area, especially considering the fact that the park has very strict laws prohibiting the construction of many types of new rides. It's a big headache to get a new roller coaster approved for this park, so I'm not sure they'll be seeing much investment at all. Dorney does make a nice profit and was unexpectedly one of the higher performers under Cedar Fair. This park is also one of the most charming and beautiful parks in the country. However, that being said, the water park is a lot more popular than the amusement park, and the building restrictions, along with the fact that the Great Adventure is just 2 hours away, may very well lead this park to potentially get sold off. Dorney is definitely a loser unless the park gets sold off and a top tier chain like Hershey buys it. Speaking of Six Flags Great Adventure, this park is an obvious winner. Six Flags under Celine Basul really ramped up investment into this park like it deserved after this park was kind of neglected for over a decade. Six Flags Great Adventure is one of the top parks in the chain, and despite its cold climate, it has the potential to be the most successful park in the chain. Great Adventure is located in Jackson, New Jersey, and has the New Jersey, New York City, and Philadelphia areas to pull from. This park has one of the highest pools of local residents nearby, and with proper investment, this park could easily double in attendance and profit. Great Adventure's operations and management over the last 2 years were probably one of the best in the entire Six Flags chain. Now with the new merger, I could easily see this park get an increased investment budget for coasters and new, highly themed areas, as well as better overall presentation and cleanliness. Keep in mind that this park competes with both Dorney and Hershey Park, and now that Dorney's under the same chain, Six Flags will want to keep this park as the best one in the area. Hershey Park isn't such an easy park to compete with, so the new Six Flags is going to have to treat Great Adventure to the investment it deserves. I think the chain will try to bring some of the Pennsylvania locals over to Great Adventure by offering 2 park tickets for Dorney and Great Adventure. This could help them get locals that previously went to Hershey and Dorney Park to make the trip to Great Adventure instead. I also think we'll see a hotel announced for this park in the next couple of years. Cedar Fair has experienced building hotels, and if there's any Six Flags park that needs one, this one is definitely at the top of the list. Overall, I think Great Adventure is a true winner here, and I think the park will be one of the top 3 in the chain long term. Kings Dominion is a very interesting park to talk about. This park has a ton of potential, and I think we will see it thrive more than ever under the new merger. I always felt like Cedar Fair was scared to compete with Busch Gardens and never really gave Kings Dominion a fair chance, but now with the new merger, I think that all changes. I think the increased investment budget along with the expertise Six Flags brings to the table in this new merger will very likely cause Kings Dominion to become a true top-tier park. That being said, I feel like there's a chance Kings Dominion could remain as a mid to lower tier park with similar investment to what it has been getting this last bunch of years. But that all depends on what the chain does with Six Flags America. Six Flags America is located 2 hours away from Kings Dominion. Previously, I always said I thought Six Flags would eventually build up this park to one of their best parks in the country. Six Flags America has enough space to allow the chain to build it up to a major park, and the population centers nearby are no joke. Six Flags America could very well become one of the top tier Six Flags parks in the next decade or 2 if the chain invests here smartly. That was why I thought the chain would eventually come around to investing in this park, gradually building it up to a top tier park. That all changed though when this new merger happened. Being that Six Flags America is just 2 hours away from Kings Dominion, many people began to speculate as to whether or not Six Flags America would even remain in the chain at all. Many predicted it being one of the first parks to get sold off, but I disagree with that. I think if done correctly, Six Flags could use the fact that these 2 parks are right next to each other to sell 2 park tickets or season passes that work for both parks. SeaWorld has this in Florida with Busch Gardens Tampa and SeaWorld Orlando, and it works out very well for them. So maybe Six Flags could pull off something like this as well. This would be a great move in my opinion, and it could go a few different ways. Six Flags could go what would seem as the most logical way. They could build up Kings Dominion into a top-tier park that successfully competes with Busch Gardens, and then build up Six Flags America into a solid mid-tier park. Then they could try to attract the population centers around Six Flags America to purchase that 2-park pass, thereby getting them to go to Kings Dominion instead of Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This is what I think the most likely option is for the future of these parks. The other ways I think it could go are rather interesting. Maybe Six Flags decides to build up both parks to top-tier parks, offering the ultimate 2-park experience. Or maybe Six Flags just doesn't want to deal with the competition between Kings Dominion and Busch Gardens and decides to focus on Six Flags America instead. While I obviously don't think these are likely scenarios for the future of these parks, there are definitely possibilities. Regardless though, I think Kings Dominion and Six Flags America will both be winners from this new merger, and I think Six Flags will try to utilize the 2-park ticket offering to build both parks into successful major parks. I think Six Flags will most likely build Six Flags America into a mid-tier park similar to that of Six Flags New England, while Kings Dominion likely will be treated even better to become a top-tier park that could successfully compete with Busch Gardens Williamsburg. La Ronde is a park I think will lose from this merger. Until now, this was Six Flags' only park in Canada, but now that Canada's Wonderland is part of the chain, I see no reason for them to keep this park, and I think this park will be sold off shortly after the merger. Canada's Wonderland, I think, will benefit a little bit from this new merger. This park is pretty successful and has insanely high attendance. I don't think much will change in terms of the direction this park is headed in, as I think Cedar Fair always plan on continuing to develop this park into its full potential. The merger will help this park gain some of the Six Flags' benefits in terms of technology and management, and the increased spending budget of the chain due to general top executive staffing cuts, which can allow for more investment into this awesome park. Canada's Wonderland is on track to become a true top-tier park, and it very likely will remain one of the most successful parks in the chain. Six Flags Discovery Kingdom may be a big loser with this new merger. The park has a height limit and can't build any major attractions, and is also totally landlocked. Previously, Discovery Kingdom had to compete with California's Great America, but now that the chain owns both parks, it's very likely they will close California's Great America down earlier than previously expected. Discovery Kingdom may remain a mid-tier park, or it could get neglected entirely. In recent years, Six Flags has been making a push to increase the investment into other experiences located at the park by expanding their animal attractions, most recently adding a brand new butterfly garden. If Six Flags continues this route with the park, then it may be a small winner, as it can be a mid-tier theme park with solid rides and high-quality themed animal experiences. If not though, I think this park will be treated similar to how Cedar Fair treated Dorney Park. They'll keep it clean and well managed, but don't expect anything major more than once a decade. Now that we mentioned California's Great America, I think the park will close down earlier than previously expected. The only way I could see them keeping this park open is if they manage to sell Discovery Kingdom instead and use the money from the sale to buy back the land under California's Great America. Sadly though, it seems this park will very likely close forever in the next 2 to 3 years. Worlds of Fun is a park I could see being a winner. This park recently got a new coaster, and though I don't think this park will ever become an elite park, it's possible the chain decides to build this park up to a mid-tier park. I think this park has a future of being something like Six Flags New England. A new lower price coaster every 5 to 6 years, and some other investment sprinkled in here and there. Worlds of Fun will probably benefit from the increased cash the chain will have on hand, and I could see this park leaving the bottom tier and getting a new thrill coaster as early as 2028. Six Flags Daring Lake is a park I could see getting sold off. Six Flags never really put any investment into it, as they only own the operating rights for the park. If Cedar Fair sees potential here, then maybe it's a park the chain would focus on a bit more, but I feel like at this point it would make more sense to build up a park in the south as opposed to one in this area of the country that would have a much shorter operating season. I could see this park leaving the chain as early as 2026, which, depending on who buys it, can make this park the biggest winner or the biggest loser on this list. Frontier City is in the same boat as Daring Lake, but I could see this park staying in the chain's portfolio a little longer. This is a local small family amusement park that could do very well in the near future. The new, recently announced American Heartland Park is supposed to open just 2 hours away from this park, and if that $2 billion project actually happens, it could help this park pick up a few more visitors. If American Heartland becomes a major tourist location, then Frontier could become like one of those smaller parks families could visit during one of the other days of their vacation. Still though, I feel like Frontier City may get sold off. I think Frontier City will stay relatively the same as it was prior to the merger, and maybe the park will see a small investment every decade or so. Six Flags Fiesta, Texas is a huge winner in my opinion. This park was already being treated like a top-tier elite park on the Six Flags recently, and now with the increased budget available, I think this park will see an increase in investment capital. This park's future is very bright, and I could see this park continue to add a new coaster every few years, but now it could come along with even more beautiful themed areas. I think a hotel may be in the cards for this park as well now that Cedar Fair is involved. And though this park does have a height limit for attractions, I can see it becoming one of the most beautiful and most enjoyable amusement parks in the country. Many people already love this park, rating it as their favorite Six Flags park, and a lot of that credit goes to the park president Jeffrey Seibert. I think this park will continue to rise in the ranks with the new merger, and I think it'll be one of the top 5 parks in the chain long term. I think the chain may even tap on Jeffrey Siebert to take one of the top management roles in the company, as he clearly knows how to successfully build and operate amusement parks. Six Flags St. Louis is a park I think will remain pretty much the same. I don't think this park will be ignored as badly as it had been for a while, but I think that was already changing when Six Flags owned the park prior to the merger. I think the park will get a coaster here and there, and maybe a couple of other investments, but nothing major. I'd bet on the Boss getting RMC'd in the next couple of years, and I think long term, this park will be similar to Dorney Park in the way it's treated. A beautiful park, but one that receives investment only once a decade or so. Knott's Berry Farm as a park I think will be a loser. Previously, this park was competing with Six Flags Magic Mountain nearby, but now that the two parks are owned by the same company, I think the chain will try to utilize that to their advantage. I think Six Flags will try to sell tickets and season passes that work for both parks to try and get guests to visit both Knott's Berry Farm and Magic Mountain instead of Universal or Disney down the road. Knott's Berry Farm and Magic Mountain will have to be different enough parks for people to want to visit both, and I think we'll see that happen. Magic Mountain is a coaster park, so I think we'll see Knott's Berry Farm focus more on families and themed experiences. Knott's Berry Farm could be the park tourists go to on their extra day after traveling to California for a Disney or Universal trip. I think Knott's will be a lot more successful working hand in hand with Magic Mountain, but in terms of thrill rides, the park is a loser. I think Knott's will become an even more elite park with even more elaborate theming over the next few years. I don't think any giggles will be coming to this park though, as it would make a lot more sense for the chain to build the major new coasters at the nearby Magic Mountain. I think the chain will try to get the thrill seekers that visit Magic Mountain to purchase a pass that works for the well-themed family park Knott's Berry Farm, and I think they'll try to get the families visiting Knott's Berry Farm to give Magic Mountain a try for those extra awesome thrills. For this reason, I think we may see some very expensive, highly themed family coaster come to Knott's over the next few years. In terms of raw investment, Knott's is a winner, but when it comes to thrills, they will probably be a big loser. Six Flags Mexico I think will stay rather the same as the way it was under Six Flags. This park has no major competition and a large population to draw from, so there's no reason to go crazy on new investments. I believe this park will get high quality expensive themed coasters every 5 to 7 years, but nothing more than that. Six Flags Great Escape is a park I think will be a big winner. This park has an on-site resort and indoor water park already, which is something more similar to what you'd find at an elite Cedar Fair park. I think this park will get an increased investment budget, and I think we could see them become a highly themed solid family park. This park has a lot of older roller coasters that will soon need to be replaced, and I think the chain will replace them with expensive, thrilling, highly themed family coasters. Six Flags was always a fan of focusing on their parks near big population centers, while Cedar Fair would build their parks up to become major tourist destinations. Some of Cedar Fair's parks were in the middle of nowhere, and Cedar Fair built them up to top-tier amusement parks. I think with the new merger, we will see a heavier focus on building up Great Escape into something special. I could see Great Escape getting a new coaster every couple of years, and I could easily see this park move up in the ranks to a solid mid-tier park. Valley Fair and Michigan's Adventure are two parks I think will stay rather the same. Under Cedar Fair, they didn't really get much investment, and I think they'll get a slightly increased investment budget with the new merger, but nothing major. I could see one or both of these parks potentially getting sold off if the chain needs some cash, but if not, I wouldn't expect anything major at either of these parks. I'd expect a new coaster at each of these parks about once a decade, and I wouldn't be surprised if both parks get a new low-budget thrill coaster in the next 3 to 5 years. Six Flags Over Georgia is a park I think could be a big winner. This park has a ton of potential, and with Cedar Fair now involved, I could see an increased focus on theming and new investments for this park. This park also needs better management, and I think we'll see many changes be made over the next bunch of years. I still think this park will remain in the middle of the chain as a solid regional amusement park. Just maybe now under the new merger, we won't see Over Georgia losing the best coaster in the state to Fun Spot. Six Flags Fiesta, Texas was the original Six Flags park, and this park is right towards the top of the mid-tier parks. I think this park will see a slight increase in investment when it comes to rides, but even more so in the theming area. I think this park will follow a similar path to Great Adventure, just at a slower pace. I could see Over Texas getting a Giga Coaster from B&M in the next few years, and maybe even an on-site hotel later down the line. I don't think this park will be top priority for the chain as Great Adventure is, but long term I could see Over Texas becoming one of the most elite top parks in the chain. Keep in mind that Universal is opening a family park right nearby, so this could definitely help Over Texas. They could potentially tap into Universal's guests that are visiting the new kids park and get some of them to take their families on a visit to a much more thrilling major park just 45 minutes away. The last park we haven't discussed yet is Six Flags Great America. This park was always treated well under Six Flags, and I don't see much changing now with the new merger. I'd expect continued solid investment into this park and an increased priority in theming. Great America is overdue for a new coaster, and I think Six Flags may have had major plans for them prior to this merger. Six Flags was getting ready to surprise Great America with one of their biggest investments and most insane new additions for the park's 50th anniversary. I have an entire video going through everything that's going on with Great America's next coaster, and it's a video you're not going to want to miss. Click here to find out the secret coaster Six Flags has in store for Great America, and you won't believe how large of an investment this new ride will be.